Thank you, Natalia and Ms. Rowe, one more time. Thank you for starting our show for us. There are also some programs, and Bishoy, if anybody doesn't have a program yet, can we bring some around, because we do have programs. And raise your hand if you don't have a program, and he'll bring you one. Do you have that piece of paper? Yes? Okay, good. He's got a few more there. In our program, you will see that there's more than 15 countries represented. We are the community theater of Wrocław, and indeed we are a community. All of us have done, some of us have done 3 shows together, because we love to be with each other. And it's a wonderful expression of global unity and cultural appreciation. And that is one of the comments I hear, is such a beautiful, diverse cast that we have. Because indeed we have people from all continents represented in our show. I'll remind you that there's a flood in Brazil right now. And one of our people is from Brazil. And she has created 5 or 6 works of art over there on the side, which are up for donation if you'd like to take one home with you. They are pieces of art that are inspired by this show, okay? That was created by Fernanda, and you can look at them during the intermission. I'll remind you perhaps. And if you want to take one, that's a donation for the flood in Brazil. That brings up the point of donations. At the end of the show, we do ask if you are able to give any donations. You can put it in by Blick or by telephone transfer or whatever they have on the wall over there and on the poles right there to help us pay for the lights, okay? And we do need a little bit of money there. If you can just give any donation, would be appreciated.
And also cash will be collected
yes,
the doctor's bag.
Okay, we'll remind people at the end of the show, because we'll have a little goodbye at the end where we will have the doctor's bag for cash, as we did in the last show. Okay, I want you to know though, we do this show completely out of love. We all love to be here, and every work of art is done out of the hearts of the individuals, the artists. And no one gets paid for anything. We all do it like that, and we just have to pay for the lights. Lastly, let me tell you that this play is not the Fast and the Furious. It will take you back, okay, to a time when we knew how to do things more slowly, when we appreciated life perhaps more fully, because our days were not as complicated. I think they will help us remember how to appreciate the small things in life and how beautiful our world really is. I hope you'll sit back and relax and enjoy the next couple of hours. Breathe. Enjoy the show.
This play is called Our Town. It was written originally by Mr. Thornton Wilder. We have changed it a little bit. The name of the town is Grover's Corners. It is the same town you come from. But in our case here, this town is located latitude 54 degrees, 44 minutes north, and longitude 75 degrees, 15 minutes west. The first part of the play shows a day in our town. The day is May 7th, 1901, and the time is just before dawn.
The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light in the east there beyond the river. That morning sun always shines so bright the minute before it has to go, doesn't it? Well, I guess I should show you how our town lies. Down here is Main Street. Over there's the railroad station, and the tracks run that way. Leslie goes across the tracks, and some Ukrainian families. The United Church is over there, Presbyterian Church is across the street, and we have the Methodist Church there, Anglican Church there, Baptist Church is down on the island by the river, Catholic Church is out beyond the tracks. Down Main Street's the town hall, and the jail's in the basement, and the post office is across the street. Over here there's a row of shops, hitching posts and horse blocks out in front of them. The first car is going to come along in about 5 years. It belonged to Mr. Matheson, our richest citizen. It lives in the big red house up on the hill there. Here's Morgan's store and the apothecary. Most everyone in town manages to look into those two stores at least twice a day. Over here is the public school, and then farther still is the high school. 8:45 mornings, noon times, 3 o'clock afternoons. The whole town can hear the yelling and screaming from those two schoolyards. This here's our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. This is his back door.
Yes, there's some scenery for those who like some scenery. This is Mrs. Gibbs' diary. As you can see, it's lots of beans, hollyhocks, heliotropes, and butter. In those days, our newspaper came out twice a week, the Courier. And here we have Editor Webb's house, and this is Mrs. Webb's diary. But unlike Mrs. Gibbs, it got lots of sunflowers. Nice town, you know. Nobody very remarkable ever came out of it. The earliest tombstones up there on the mountain say 1816, 1820. There are the Stewarts, the McLeans, the Ganses, the Husses. Same as us around here right now.
Well, as I said, it's about dawn. The only lights on in our town are in a cottage over by the tracks, where Mrs. Antonio has come down with a case of twins. And also at Joe Crowell's house, where Joe Jr. is getting up so as to deliver the paper. And at the depot, where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to flag the 5:45 for Boston. That's it. Naturally, out in the country, there have been lights on for quite some time, but town people sleep late, and so another day has begun. And here comes Doc Gibbs, coming down Main Street now, coming back from that baby case. And here's his wife, coming downstairs to make breakfast.
Doc Gibbs died in 1930. They named a hospital ward after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first, a long time ago. She went down to visit her daughter, Rebecca, who married an insurance salesman in Canton, Ohio, and died there, pneumonia. But they brought her body back here. She's buried now up on the cemetery, along with a whole mess of Hersey's and Gibbs. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs in the United Church over there. There's Doc Gibbs, got that call at 1:30 this morning. Babies come when it's convenient for them. And there's Joel Crowell Jr. delivering Mr. Webb's courier.
Morning, Dr. Gibbs.
Morning, Joe.
Somebody need a signal?
No. Some twins born not very yesterday.
Do you want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious going in the walls as well?
Nothing. Yes, sir. My school
Claire, and how do youngsters feel about that?
None of my business, but if you start out to be a teacher, you ought to stay once.
How do you mean, Joe?
Fine, no, but it always tells me when it's going to rain.
What is telling you today? It's going to rain?
No, sir.
Does me ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
I need to tell you something about that Joe over there. Joe graduated high school here. He was the head of his class. And then he got a scholarship for the university. Head of his class there too. Yeah, he was going to be a great engineer. But then the war broke out and he died in France. And here comes Howie Newsom, delivering the news.
Bro, Bessie. Come on, Bessie. What's the matter with you? Morning, Doc.
Oh, morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
No, a pair of twins born over in Anthony's.
Twins, huh? This town is getting bigger every year.
Going to rain, Howie.
No, just fine day. That will be wonderful.
Oh, Bessie. How old is he, Howie?
She's going on 17 now. This is mixed up with the road ever since locals stopped taking their cars. She keeps going in the country.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mr. Gibbs. Dog's coming down the street.
Is he? Seems like you are late today.
Yes, something went wrong with the parent. I don't know what it was. Doc,
Oh, Howie.
Children, time to get up.
come on, listen.
George, Rebecca. Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Is he as kittens?
Sit down, drink your coffee. Bacon will be ready in a minute. You can catch a couple of hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Mrs. Weston's coming at 11. I think I know what it's all about.
Her
Stomach
stomach
ache
isn't what it
ought
ought
to be.
Well, all told, you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I wish I could get you to go on a real trip. Go somewhere to take a rest and change. I thought you would do good.
Emily! Wally! Time to get up!
And I declare you've got to speak to George. Seems like something's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is the baseball. George, Rebecca, you'll be late for school. I think you'd better get your sleep, Frank. George!
George! Look out!
Yes, Mom.
Don't you see your mother is calling you? I think I will go upstairs and get those stuff.
Emily! Wally! You'll be late for school! Wally, wash yourself good or I'll come up and do it myself!
Mom, what dress shall I wear?
Shh! Your daddy's been out all night and needs his sleep. I washed and ironed the blue denim for you special.
Mom, I hate that dress.
Hush up.
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Rebecca, you always look real nice.
Mom, you're just gonna soap at me.
I'll come and soak the both of you, that's what I'll do.
We've got a factory in downtown too, over by the tracks. It makes cod liver oil. Can you smell it? The workers own it, and it brought them a lot of fortune.
Children, now I won't have it. The breakfast is just good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling like balls. It will stunt your growth. Wally, put away your book.
Oh, Ma, by 10 o'clock I need to know all about Australia.
You know the rule as well as I do. No books at the table. As for me, I'd rather my children healthy than bright.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm bright too when I'm looking at my stamp collection.
I'll speak to your father about it when he's rested, but 25 cents a week seems enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know how to spend it all.
Oh, Mom, I have a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry soda, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I can save enough, Rachel.
Well, dear, I think it's good to spend some every now and then.
Mom, do you know what I love the most in the world? Do you? Money.
Eat your breakfast.
Mama, there's first bell.
I gotta hurry.
I don't want anymore.
I'm gonna hurry.
Look your friends at me, Wally. Stand up straight, Emily.
Tell this Oscar my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Mom.
You look real nice, Rebecca. Have your feet.
Bye.
Here, chick, 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 chick. Here, chick, chick, chick. No, go away, you. Go away. Here, chick, 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 chick. What's the matter with you? Fight, 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 that's what you do. Here, chick, 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 chick. Where did you come from? You don't belong to me. Don't be so scared, nobody's going to hurt you. Oh, good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling. I told Charles I go to choir practice tonight. Wouldn't be any use. Somehow I can't stay on the key. Look. See? While resting, I thought I'll string some of these beads.
Now, let me help you. Beans have been good this year, haven't they?
Yes, I decided to put up 40 cards if it kills me. Children say they hate them, but I noticed that they're able to get them down all winter.
Myrtle, I've got to tell you something. Because if I don't tell somebody, I'll burst.
Why, Julia Gibbs?
Here, give me some more of those beans. Myrtle, did one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to visit you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. He came into my parlor and Myrtle, he offered me $350 for grandmother when we're stressed out drawers as I'm sitting here.
Why, Julia Gibbs?
He did that old thing.
Well, you are going to take it, aren't you?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know? $350! What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor on a real trip, I would just sell it like that. It's been a dream of mine to visit back to Poland. But I don't know. I've been promising myself for years that if we got the chance,
How about Dr. Feel about it?
well, I did beat about the bush and said that if I got a legacy, that's the way I put it, I would make him take me somewhere.
How does it feel about it?
Well, you know how he is. It might make him discontented with the town to go wandering around Europe, he says. Every 2 years, he makes a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War, and that's enough treat for anyone, he says.
Well, Mr. Redwood just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Only Dr. Gibbs being one of the greatest experts in the country just makes him this scared.
All the times I walked over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush.
Well, if that second-hand man is really serious about buying it, you sell it to him, and then keep dropping hints, and then you will get to see the cracker, alright?
Well, I'm sorry I mentioned that. It seems to me that once in your lifetime you ought to see a country where they don't speak English, and don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. I've asked Professor Willard at the university here to sketch in a few details about our town. Professor Willard is the professor here. Oh, Professor Willard. May I introduce you, Professor Willard of the History Department of the university. A few brief notes, if you will, Professor, about our town.
Our town, then, let me see. Our town lies in the old Pleistocene granite of the northern shore. It's one of the oldest rock in the world. We are very proud of that. A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of the Mesozoic shade and some sandstone outcroppings. But that's all fairly new. 200, 300 million years old. Some highly interesting, I may say unique fossils have been found at Peckham's cow pasture. They can be seen at the museum downtown at any time, that is, at any reasonable time. Shall I read some of the Professor Gruber's notes about mean precipitation, etc.?
I'm afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. Perhaps a few notes about the history of humans here.
Oh, yes, anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock, Cotachi tribes. No evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now mostly disappeared. Some still living farther west. Migration toward the end of the 17th century of English brachycephalic blue-eyed stock, for the most part. Since then, some Slav and Mediterranean stock took the ocean.
Yes, and any comments, Professor?
The population
yes,
is 2,604.
One moment, Professor.
Well, indeed the population at the moment is 2,642. Township brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Birth and mortality rate constant. By Macpherson gauge 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor. We're all very much obliged. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. And now, for the political and social report. Editor Webb. Oh, Mr. Webb.
Oh, he'll be in a minute. He just cut his hand while eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles? Everyone is waiting.
Editor Webb is the editor, of course, and publisher of our Courier. That's our local newspaper, you know. Of course you do. I've already told you that.
Well, I don't have to tell you we're run here by an elected council. All males vote at 21. Women vote indirect. Mostly lower middle class, some professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we are 86% conservative, 6% liberals, 4% socialist, rest indifferent. Religiously, we are 85% Protestants, 12% Catholics, 1% Eastern, rest indifferent.
And do you have any comments, Editor Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most, probably a lot better. But our young people like it here well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settle down right here to live. Even when they've been away to college, they mostly come back.
Is there anyone in the audience who has any questions for Mr. Webb? Anyone? It's you, ma'am.
Is there much drinking in your town?
Well, ma'am, I wouldn't know what you call much. Saturday nights, the farmhands and factory men meet down to the hotel. And sometimes they holler some. We've got one or two town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here. Except in the medicine chest. Good for snake bite, you know, always was.
Is there anyone else?
Is there no one?
Hey, speak up, man, so we can hear you. What were you saying?
Is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Well, yes, everybody is. Something terrible. Seems like they spent most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why they don't do something about this?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all hunting, like everybody else, for a way the diligent and the sensible can rise to the top, and the lazy and quarrelsome can just sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do all we can to help those that can't help themselves. And those that can, we live alone. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Webb, is there any cultural love of beauty in the town?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense you mean. There's some girls that play the piano at the high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. Though, maybe this would be the place to tell you of the pleasures we do have here. We like the sun coming up over the river in the morning, and we all notice a good deal about the birds. And we watch the change in the seasons. Yes, everybody knows about them. But those are the things. You're right, ma'am. There ain't much. Robinson Crusoe and the Bible, Whistler's Mother, those are just about as far as we go.
So I thought. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Webb.
And now we will go back to our town. So it's early afternoon, and all 2,642 have had their dinners, and all the dishes have been washed. There is an early afternoon calm in our town. Only a buzzing and a humming from the school buildings, and the horses are dozing at the hitching posts. You all remember what it's like. Doc Gibbs is over there in his office, tapping people and making them say, ah. And Mr. Webb is turning his edge over here. It's later than I thought. There are the children coming back from school already.
I can't, Louise. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promised.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Papa, you're terrible. 1 minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you call me names. I just won't listen to you.
Golly, I've never gotten a kiss from such a great lady before.
Go out and play in the field, young man. You've got no business playing baseball on Main Street.
I fine speech in class.
Well, I was really ready when I wasn't involved with Trent. But at the last minute, Miss Corcoran made me talk about the Louisiana cricket instead. I worked an awful lot around both of them.
Gee, it's fun. From my window up there, I can just see your head. Nights when you're over in your room doing your homework.
Why, can you?
Yeah, you certainly do stick to it. I don't see how you can sit still that long. I guess you like school.
I don't mind it really, passing the time.
Yeah. Emily, what do you think? If we might work out a kind of telegraph from your window to mine, and once in a while you could send over a hint or two for one of those algebra problems. Just a little bit.
Oh, I think hints are allowed. So, if you do get stuck there, you just whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess. You see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says whenever I'm ready, I can just go over and work on his farm. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah! Well, thanks. I better be getting out to the baseball fields. Thanks for our talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come and help me string these beans for the winter. Well, George Gibbs let himself to have a real conversation, didn't he? How old would George be? I don't know. He must be almost 60.
Mama, I made a fine speech in class today. I was really good.
What was it about?
The Louisiana purchase. It was like silk and a spool. Mama, can I ask you a question? Serious.
Seriously, dear. Not serious.
Seriously. Mama, am I good looking?
All my children have good features. Oh, they're a shame if they hadn't.
But that's not what I mean, Mama. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I've already told you. Yes. I never heard such a foolishness.
Mama, were you pretty once?
Yes, if I do say it. Prettiest girl in town next to 𝐲𝐫 Johnson.
But Mama, am I pretty enough to get anybody, to get people interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. You are pretty enough for all normal purposes.
Oh, Mama, you're no help at all.
Sorry, we'll have to interrupt again here. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Mrs. Webb. There are a few more things to explore about our town. And I think this is a good time to tell you that some people have begun building a new bank in our town. And they have asked a friend of mine what they should put into the cornerstone for people to dig up. Yeah. So I was thinking about that. What we should put into the cornerstone for people to find 1,000 years from now. Some scientific fellows have found a way of painting all of that reading matter with a glue, a silicate glue, and that will make it keep for 1,000, 2,000 years. Of course, they have put in a copy of Mr. Webb's Courier. We are putting in the Bible as well, a copy of the Magna Carta, a copy of Shakespeare's plays. So what do you say, folks? What we should put into this cornerstone for people to find? Do you have any ideas? Anyone? Yes? Okay. Yes. Yes?
General justice.
Awesome. All of those are good. You know, once Babylon had 2 million people in it, and all we know about them are the names of the kings and some wheat contracts and the contracts for the sales of slaves. And yet every night, all those families, they sat down to have dinner, they cooked the meals, and the smoke went up the chimney. So I was thinking, we should put a copy of this play into the cornerstone for people to find. So then, people 1,000 years from now, they would know a simple fact about us. So, people 1,000 years from now, this is the way we were. In a small town, in a province, in a country, in a continent, at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way we were in our growing up, and in our marrying, and in our living, and in our dying.
And the children, they are at home doing their homework. And the day is running down like a tire.
Okay, now look here, everybody. You need to be softer, softer. Music came into the world to give pleasure. Now, get it out of your heads that you're supposed to be loud. You're not Catholics. You're not going to beat them anyway. So, let's do now Ardo Weary, Ardo Language. No, sorry. We're going to continue with the second of Blessed Be the Title. Here we go. Before our Father's throne, we pour our ardent prayers, our fears, our hopes, our aims, our want, our comforts, and our cares.
Hello.
Hello.
I can't work at all. The moonlight's so terrible.
Did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why yes, George? That's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. I mean, just give me a little hint.
I'll tell you one. The answer's in yards.
Yards. How do you mean?
In square yards.
In square yards.
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper.
Wallpaper. Oh! I see it. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. Isn't the moonlight terrible? Well, I better go back and try to work.
Good night, Emily.
Good night, George.
Alright, now we're gonna do our Weary Ardo Language. Wait, no, before I forget it, who will be able to come on Tuesday afternoon to sing at Fred Hersey's wedding? Show your hands, tip top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that's fine, thank you. We'll do the same music as for Jane Charles's last month. Now we're to out the weary of the language, and it's a question, ladies and gentlemen, and make it talk. Are thou weary, art thou languid, art thou so distressed? Come to me, said one, and coming, be at rest.
George, can you come down for a minute?
Yes, Doc.
Make yourself comfortable. I'll only give you a minute. Today, when I was in my office, I heard a funny sound. What do you think it was? Was your mother chopping wood? There you see your mother, waking up earlier, making meals all day long, washing and ironing, and still she has to go back on her backyard to chop some wood. I imagine she just gave up and decided it was easier to do it herself. And you eat her meals and put on the nice clothes that she keeps for you. And still, you run up to play baseball and leave her to chop some wood. Like she's some kind of high girl that we keep around the house, but we don't like very much. Well, I knew all I had to do was call your attention to it. Oh, I hope. But, George, I decided to raise your pay 25 cents a week. Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mom, because that's a present you do to her. But because you're getting older, and I imagine you must find a lot of things to do with it.
Thanks, Mom.
Let's see. Tomorrow's your payday. You can go on it. And I guess Rebecca feels like she ought to earn some more too. What could have happened?
It's only 8:30 now.
I don't know why she's on that old choir. She doesn't have any more boys in the crew. Racing the streets at this time of night? Just about time you retired, don't you think?
Yes, Mom.
Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Pastor. I'll tell Mr. Webb I know he'll want it in the paper.
My, it's late.
Good night, Irma.
Oh, nice choir practice. Myrtle wept, look at that moon. Potato with it for sure.
Naturally, I didn't want to say anything in front of the others, but now that we're alone, really, it's the worst scandal that ever was in this town.
What?
Simone Stimson.
Well,
But Julia, to have the organist of a church drink and drunk year after year, you know she was drunk tonight.
we all know about Miss Simpson. And we all know about the troubles she's been through. And Dr. Ferguson loves that too. And if Dr. Ferguson keeps around, well, the only thing we can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, and it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. I've been in that choir twice as long as you do. It doesn't happen anywhere near so often. I hate to go to bed on a night like this. I better hurry. Good night, Luella.
Can you get home safe, Luella?
This is Friday's day. I can
Mr. Soames scowling out the window now. You think we've been to a dance the way these men folk carry on. Good night.
We had a real nice time.
You're late enough.
Oh, it's not later than usual.
And you stop by the corner to gossip with a lot of hands.
Oh, Frank, don't be grouchy. Come out to smell the tea you throw in the moonlight. It's wonderful, isn't it? What were you doing all the time I was away?
Well, I read. So. What were the girls gossiping around?
Oh, believe me, Frank, there is something to gossip about.
Simone Stimson was far gone. Was she?
Worst I've ever seen her. How will that end, Frank?
Well, I think I know more about Simone Stimson's affair than anybody in this town. Some people are made for small town life. I don't know how it will end. But there's nothing we can do about it. Let's just let it be. Come.
No, not that, Frank, I'm worried about you.
Okay, okay, why? What are you worried about?
I think it's my duty to make plans for you to get some rest and change. And if I get that legacy, I'm going to insist on it.
Oh, now, Julia, there's no sense in going over that again.
You're just unreasonable.
Come on, it's getting late. Next thing you notice, you'll catch a call. Julia, I give a piece of my mind to George today. I reckon you will have your job booked for a while anyway. Oh, no, stop it.
There's always so many things to pick up, it seems. You know, Frank? Miss Fairchild always loves her front door at night. All those people at that part of town do.
They're getting cityfied. That's their trouble. They got nothing fit to steal, and everybody knows that.
Rebecca, there's only room for one at this window.
Well, let me look just a minute.
You always spoil everything. Use your own window.
I did, but there's no moon there. George, do you know what I think? Do you? I think maybe that the moon is getting nearer and nearer, and there's going to be a big explosion.
You don't know anything. If the moon were getting nearer, all the scientists that sit up all night with their telescopes would see it first, and they'd telecut it, and it'd be in all the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining on South America and Canada and half of the world?
Probably is.
Most of the lights are out. No, there is constant wiring, checking a few doors down the street. And here comes Editor Webb, after putting his newspaper to bed.
Good evening, Jill.
Evening, Mr. Webb.
Quite a mood.
Yeah.
All quiet tonight?
Simone Stimson is so proud of her. Just saw her husband moving out to hunt for her. So I did the other way. Where she is now.
Good evening, Simone. Town seems to have settled down for the night.
Yes, everyone seems to have settled down for the night. I guess we better do the same. Can I walk along the way with you? Good night. I don't know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb.
Well,
She's seen a peck of the trouble. One thing after another. Oh, Jill, if you see my boy smoking cigarettes, give him a word, will you?
I don't think he smokes cigarettes, Mr. Webb. Or not more than 2 or 3 a year.
Well, I hope not. Good night, Jill.
Goodbye.
Who's up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's just me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I can't sleep at all. The moonlight's so wonderful.
Yes. Haven't any troubles on your mind, have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, enjoy yourself, but don't let your mother catch you. Good night.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about the letter from Prophet God from the minister into your sick. He wrote in the letter, on the envelope, the address was like this. It said, Jean Crochet, Westward Farm, the county seat, Southern County.
What's funny about that?
Well, listen, it's not finished. The continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God.
Well, how about that?
And the postman wrote it just the same.
How about that?
So, 3 years have gone by. The sun has come up 1,000 times. And babies that weren't even born before have begun talking regular sentences already. A number of people that thought they were young and spry have started noticing that they cannot go up flight of stairs like they used to. Summers and winters have cracked the mountains a little bit more, and the rains have brought down some of the dirt. Millions of gallons of water went by the mill, and here and there a new home got set up under a roof. All that can happen in 1,000 days. Nature has been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of young people fell in love and got married. Almost everybody in the world gets married. You know what I mean? And in our town, there isn't hardly any exceptions. Almost everybody in the world climbed into their graves married. So, it's 3 years later. It's exactly July 7, 1904. Yes, just after high school commencement. This is where our young people jump up and get married. As soon as they are done with geometry and Cicero's orations, they suddenly feel themselves fit to marry. Can you imagine? So it's early morning again, only this time it's been raining, pouring and thundering. Both of the gardens here are drenched. All the bean poles and the pea vines are totally drenched. And yesterday over there on Main Street, it looked like the rain looked like curtains being blown along, so much rain. There, you can hear the 5:45 for Boston. And soon you will see Mrs. Webb and Mrs. Gibbs coming downstairs to make breakfast again. As if it would any other day. I don't need to tell the women in my audience that these ladies, those ladies they see before them, they cooked 3 meals a day. One for 20 years and the other for 40 years. And no summer vacation. Yeah, that's tough. They have raised children apiece. They washed and cleaned, and never a nervous breakdown. As the poet said, you've got to love life to have life, and you've got to have life to love life. It's a vicious circle.
No, this.
Here comes again our new son, delivering the bill. And their side problem, delivering the papers, just like his brother before.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, Slade. Anything Peppa ought to know?
Nothing much, except for losing just about the best baseball pitcher in town, George Gibbs.
Yeah, might find both Fred. Whoa, Bessie. I guess I can stop and talk if I have mind to.
I don't see how you would give up a thing like that just to get married. Would you, Howie?
Can't tell, Si. Never have time that way. Morning, Jude. You're up, Annie.
Trying to prevent the flood. Rivers been rising all night.
Si probably say George Gibbs is returning.
That's the way it goes, sir. Back in the 84 time, the player, name of Hank Toss. Even George Gibbs couldn't touch him. Went down to Maine, became a preacher. Howie, how does the weather look to you?
Oh, ain't bad. That will bounce you.
Good morning, Howie. Do you think it's going to rain?
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. It rains so heavy. Think maybe it will dry up.
Certainly, I hope it will.
How much did you want today?
Well, I'm going to have a house full of relations, so it looks to me like I'll need 3 a milk and 2 a cream.
And my wife says to tell you how we hope they will both be very happy, Mrs. Gibbs.
Thank you, Howie. Thank you, Howie. Tell your wife I hope she gets there to the wedding.
Yes, she will be there. She'll be there if she can. Bye. Morning, Mrs. Webb.
Good morning. I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another and 2 of cream.
That's what I thought, Mom. So I brought extra.
Well, will it be raining?
Just was saying to Mrs. Gibbs how it may brighten up. And Mrs. Newsom told me to tell you how I hope they'll both be very happy, Mrs. Webb.
Thank you, but we are counting at the wedding.
We hope to get there. We'll be there. We cannot miss that.
Okay.
Come on, Bessie.
Well, Ma, the day has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank Gibbs, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom's upstairs, saving himself. Only there's not awful lot to share. Singing and whistling as if he's happy to leave us.
Frank, I don't know how they will get along. Frank, they are too young. I've arranged George's clothes every day and made sure he put on warm things every day. And then he won't think of such things. He'll catch his death within a week.
Julia, I was remembering our wedding day.
Oh, don't you start with that, Frank.
He was the scariest fella on the continent. I was sure I made a mistake for sure. And then, when I saw you walking down that aisle, you were the prettiest girl I ever seen. But it was like I saw you for the first time. There I was, in the Union Church, marrying a total stranger.
And how do you think I felt, Frank? Weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. Here, I made something for you.
Oh, Julia Harrison, French toast.
Oh, it isn't hard to make, and I have to do something.
I get stuck every time I think of George becoming feminine. Obviously, there's nothing so terrifying as a song. The relationship between songs, father and son, is the darkness, awkwardness.
Oh, mother and daughter is no picking, let me tell you.
Well, they've had a lot of troubles, I guess. But it's not about business. Everybody has the right to their own troubles.
Yes. People are meant to go through life together. It isn't natural to be lonesome.
Julia, do you know what I was most scared on our wedding day?
Oh, go ahead and tell me.
Well, I was afraid we were going to get out of conversations in a week. And we eat our meals in silence. That's a fact. Well, we have been conversing for 20 years now, without any noticeable violent spells.
Well, good weather, bad weather, I always find something to say. Frank, did you hear Rebecca staring around upstairs?
No, only being years is not managing everybody's business out there. She's hiding in her room, crying.
Lord sakes, this has to stop. Rebecca, come down and get your breakfast.
Only 5 more hours to live.
George Gibbs, where are you going?
Just step across the grass to see my girl.
But it's raining torrents. Put on your overshoes.
It's just a step.
George, you'll catch a death of cold and cough all throughout the service. Now,
George, what your mother tell you?
from tomorrow on, you can kill yourself in all the weathers. But when you're in my house, you will live wisely, thank you. Now, you drink some coffee.
I'll be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
George, you frightened me. Now, you can come in for a minute, but I can't ask you in.
Why not?
You know as well as I do. The groom can't see his bride on their wedding day until he sees her in church.
That's just some superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
Millions have followed it, George. Don't be the first to fly in the face of custom.
How's Emma?
She hasn't waked up yet. I haven't heard sound of her.
She's asleep?
No wonder. We were up till all hours. Now you sit down here. Sit down here. And I'll go upstairs to check if she's coming in. Surprising you, isn't it?
Well, George, how are you?
Fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Mr. Webb, what sense could there be in superstition like that?
Well, you see, on her wedding morning, a girl's head's apt to be full of clothes and things. A girl's apt to be a mite nervous on her wedding day.
I wish a fella could get married without all that marching up and down.
Every man that has ever married has felt that way about it, George. But it hasn't been any use. For a while now, the women have it all their own. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure that the knots tie it in a mighty public way. But a man looks pretty small at a wedding.
But you believe in it, don't you?
Oh yes. Don't you misunderstand me, my boy. Marriage is wonderful, a wonderful thing. And don't you forget that.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, I've been to college and I've taken some time to settle. But Mrs. Webb, she wasn't much older than what Emily is. Oh, age hasn't much to do with it, George, when compared with other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
Oh, I don't know, George. I was thinking the other night of some advice my father gave me. Charles, he said, start out early showing who is boss. Give an order even if it don't make sense, just so she'll learn to obey. And he said, if your wife irritates you, her conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her. And oh yes, he said, never let your wife know how much money you have. Never.
Oh. Well, Mr. Webb, I don't think I could.
I didn't say it was good advice. I just said it was advice. So, I took the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since. And let that be a lesson to you, George. Never to ask for advice on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Well, Uncle Luke's never been much interested, but
A book came into my office the other day, George, on the philo system of raising chickens. I want you to read it. I'm thinking of beginning in a small way in the backyard, and I'm going to put an incubator in the cellar.
Charles, are you talking about this old incubator again? I thought you told me talking about things worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you're going to give the boy some good advice, I'm just going to go upstairs and leave you alone with him.
Now, George, Emily's coming downstairs for breakfast. She sends you her love, but she doesn't want to lay eyes on you. So, goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Myrtle, I guess you don't know about that even older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the cavemen, no bridegroom is supposed to see their father-in-law on the day of the wedding or any time near it. Now, remember that.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. Okay, friends, now is the intermission. It's time to stretch your legs, walk a bit. The washrooms are way over there for those who need them. I highly recommend you start right away. And when you have a break, on the right side, we have our paintings from Brazil. Please stroll around, enjoy them. You're welcome, so let us meet after 15 minutes. Thank you very much.